Specifically, I'm trying to get stuff organized for the archery state tournament because I think we're going to make it.
Europe. I thought we finished Europe. Oh, wait, no, that was Canada. Never mind.
I say if you knew all this stuff, you wouldn't be in the class. Now, I am. You are correct, of course. So, as you guys can see in our Daedalus cert, we are starting our discussion of Europe, which, of course, is a different place entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where is it?
Asia, in Europe.
Well,
Continent.
yes. Well, let's talk about all that, shall we? Because you all make very good points. Up to this point, I've been using terms like hemispheres, north, south, east, west, depending on whether we're dividing it by the prime meridian and the equator. So it's in the northern hemisphere for sure. But when you get to the prime meridian, there's an issue. The prime meridian goes through it, specifically Greenwich, England. So it's in both the eastern and the western hemisphere. So it's mostly in the western hemisphere. But as a couple of you all pointed out, yeah, it's next to Russia. In fact, you could argue that Russia is part of Europe.
It's not.
Russia's not part of Europe?
You could argue that it is. At least part of it is. In fact, there's two countries in this world that are both European and Asian. One is Russia. Does anyone know the other one?
It's China.
It's on the border between Europe and Asia.
Eurasia. Turkey.
That's the continent. Turkey, yes. It's Turkey.
Where's Turkey?
Right there. It's great.
Turkey.
Part of it's green, part of it's gray. In fact, the city of Istanbul sits on the break, on the Bosphorus Strait.
Oh, I see it.
Yep. So the thing is, where it is, there's a lot of different ways we can word it, but this also brings to the idea of Eurasia. I heard some folks saying that. Some folks will refer to that as one continent. We already discussed this. We talked about how many continents are there. And in addition, there's going to be some kind of interesting parallels and differences between, say, Eastern Europe and Asia. Because one of the things you have to understand right off the get-go is that when we divide Europe and we kind of look at the different sections, we tend to look at it as the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. But they're going to be pretty different. Some folks would even say like Central Europe's a thing, and that's fine, that's correct. But for our purposes, we're going to kind of divide north, south, east, west. So before we get started on Northern Europe, I want to show you some pictures and talk about some stuff, okay? So the first picture I have for you is, of course, Europe itself, which you can kind of see there's a lot going on here. The climate is going to vary dramatically depending on where in Europe you are. For instance, if you're in Northern Europe and say you're in the Scandinavian Peninsula, it's going to be a lot chillier than if you're in the southern part of Spain. So the fact of the matter is, when we talk about Europe, we're talking about a lot of different places and a lot of different things. In fact, weather-wise, it's kind of unique, because if you look at just latitude, it's on the same latitudinal level as Canada, yet it is warmer as a whole than Canada. Why? Well, part of it has to do with wind. We'll get to that later. But it's also going to be a lot of physical features. Now, you can tell me what that is. It's a windmill, yeah. And
Flowers.
that it's a bird. It's a ghost.
Picture.
Yeah, look really closely, you can see the ghost.
People.
Wait.
I think it's hilarious people actually look. No, it's just a picture of a windmill.
Oh.
Anyways, so a windmill. What do they do in a windmill?
They make some
Make energy.
energy.
From wind.
They make energy.
They use
You're not wrong.
they use the wind to create energy.
Okay.
Energy.
Let's talk about that. How does that work? How does it work? Da 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 da. Sorry, can you zoom? So how does it work? Okay, so obviously these big fins act like sails, yeah? And the wind turns a crank. How does that make electricity?
No, it does.
Magnets.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, technically it is. I don't remember all the science behind it. I actually built a generator in 8th grade for my science project. It did not work. Well, it works. It just was super inefficient. Like, I had to hook it up to a drill to turn it fast enough to power a light bulb. But it works.
You
Right.
have a generator?
Yeah. A really crappy one, though.
You still have to go build.
But don't you have to use it like?
Yeah, the thing is, like, you could, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's really highly inefficient. It's not nearly as like, I swear to God, there's a dude who did like an actual bicycle generator that could like power a TV where I was there. I was not that cool. Regardless, the point is, you turn one form of force into another form of electricity, yes?
Yes.
But the thing is, you can use this centrifugal force to power a lot of different machines. For instance, you could power a generator, or you could power a saw. Imagine hooking a giant belt to this so that as this spins, it turns the saw, right? Now using gear differentials, you can actually make the saw turn faster than the windmill does. Otherwise, I feel like the world's most inefficient saw ever. Come on! You know, it doesn't work. So, you know, you can work that out. But the word mill actually refers to a machine. So we have a saw mill, right? That might be powered by wind. Or you might have a wind mill. Or maybe you're going to use big, heavy stones to grind grain into flour. It's called a grist mill. Right? Grist, G-R-I-S-T. So all of these things are how we use these things to power stuff. Do you know what they used to use these things for originally?
Golf.
Kill people.
Windmills?
I gotta say that. That got right?
Golf.
Golf no. I'll show you. But first, I need to transport you through the power of art. That sounds cool.
Is this recording?
Yes.
Oh.
We're going to look at a beach.
Well.
Okay. The ocean.
Where are you going now?
Oh, that fish is gonna die.
It's a whale, dude.
Put it up here.
Okay, I can do it.
It's a whale.
Actually, if this were to scale, it might not be a huge road, because this is the continental shelf, right? There's a whale! Anyway. So, here's the thing. Have you guys ever heard of cities being built below sea level?
Yes. That was
25% of the Netherlands, the country in Europe, you know, is actually below sea level. Because what they did is they would use windmills. We killed the ocean.
kill a whale.
What they would do is they would hook a hose up to this thing, hook it up to a pump. They would then be able to pump water out of things, like the ocean.
But what they do with the animals?
Here's what they would do. Check this out. This is cool. They would take a crap load of dirt, right? And I'm talking like a ridiculous amount of dirt. And they would build a dam. Basically a giant pile of dirt. Right? That's called a dike. Then they would use these pumps to pump out all of the water, because it's now separate from the ocean. You basically made a lake. Get rid of all of this. And then maybe we kind of like, cut out the land a little bit, move some more dirt around. So we've got this nice little flat area. And we've just made dry land. We're going to use a windmill. Yep. This.
What if the dam broke?
is called colder. When the dam breaks, it floods. And that's a problem. In fact, I don't remember the name of the story, but you might have heard it. There's a story about a kid who's walking around, the dike starts breaking, so like he sticks his thumb in the hole and he has to stay there for days.
Oh, I've seen that too.
Yeah, that's what that's referring to.
How in the world did you see
That totally doesn't work. It's a legend. I mean, maybe it happened. I don't know. I guess hypothetically it's good, but I think hydrostatic pressure could cause the kid to blast away like a train into the Battle of Isengard.
Wait, so how did they
And then the story would end with "he dead." It didn't. That's
Oh, you were being sarcastic?
yes.
Oh. I was waiting for someone to know about holders and bags.
I'll help.
laughing over there?
What is that?
Windmills were used to kill people. Somebody gets it.
Wait, did you just write that?
Sarcasm, isn't it? Then?
Hold on, back it up. Oh, never mind. I get it now.
I don't know. What was that?
/s. It's used on internet forums to signify someone's being sarcastic.
I'm gonna use that one.
See, every time you don't get something like that, that just proves how much cooler you are. It's like, I don't know these things.
No, y'all did not know when you were using movies.
Don't you hate it when you tell a joke and they don't get it, so you have to explain it? I do that to Mikhail all the time.
That's right, technically before it.
You're just like,
Right.
just like,
I get it.
It's called a fjord.
oh yeah, that's
Remember that?
amazing. The fjords.
What?
The
There's a whole reinforcement.
Okay, I don't remember them ever saying that in first.
Yeah, they totally
I
say
just
that.
remember because they walked on, they were like, the fjords.
How do you spell
fjord?
F-A-O-R-D.
I still don't remember that.
I was right.
You know, the funny thing is, I've never made that connection to Frozen before, but you know, now I'm going to.
What? Fjords.
Fjords?
That's the only connection.
Same.
What are we connecting from?
Fjords.
Well, no, what are people?
They're V-shaped narrow inlets. Just like the one I just showed you.
Did y'all know that from Frozen? How many times have you seen that movie? Like
Too many times to tide cousins.
I mean, I've seen
I
it.
love
Not
that
very many times.
movie. I think it's overrated.
I can prove to you definitively it is not overrated.
I mean, I'd rather watch that in your school. I'd actually rather do school.
I like Tangled better than Frozen.
Same.
That's okay. You're allowed to like that.
I like.
Moana.
I
I haven't seen Moana.
It's so good.
It is.
And Ariel, like Ariel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it came out the same year as Zootopia, so it's getting destroyed.
What is?
Moana.
No, it is not on.
Haven't seen it.
I'm just saying, Zootopia is winning all of the awards, and Moana.
Zootopia was good.
Moana is better.
I liked Zootopia. Well, you can't say it was better if you've never seen Moana yet.
I'm just saying.
I didn't say I didn't like Moana. I just said I liked Zootopia.
You guys are not going to be hating on movies now. Anyways. Yeah, nice. Like that thing I hear over there. Which looks a little bit like a Diglett. Anyways. But one thing I will say is a lot of these different things were formed either by human-environment interactions, in the case of the dikes, or through natural processes like glaciation. Now, glaciation is just like it sounds. It's a glacier forming the land. You guys know what a glacier is, right? Yeah. One thing I'll say that's interesting about glaciers, though, if you think about what a glacier looks like, if you're on top of it, it looks just like snow. But when you pull back a ways, it's utterly different. It's like a river of ice. And one thing I thought was interesting is a lot of cases the ice is so thick on these, it's blue. It's not like you think of ice, it's blue. It's crazy. But the thing is, glaciers not only create depressions in the land like fjords, they also move stuff around. They can actually carve out whole indentations, like the Great Lakes were formed through glaciation. In the case of Europe, it influenced the physical land and caused certain areas to be richer than others. So that, of course, influences where people settle, changes how cultures develop. It really has a large-scale impact. In fact, if you really look at it, geography determines more about human culture than pretty much anything else. It's pretty wild to see some of these impacts. Not only just from what we think of as environment, things that we wouldn't even necessarily consider. For instance, why is it that animals like cows did not really exist in South America? Not necessarily. It didn't work out
Because
that
they
way.
didn't have.
I'm not asking you that question because you might not know.
I think I know.
Why is that?
Because they didn't have the resources they needed. Then they put cows in the rainforest.
Well, eventually they moved. My question is why. The question I ask you is why do we not have anything that's as easily domesticated as cows in South America? For instance, the closest thing to a cow in North America is a bison. And bison are not easily domesticated. They are big, powerful, angry things. Just now, we've been able to start domesticating them after hundreds of years of contact. And even that, it's not really domestication. It's more like preventing them from for each other. Deer, we cannot domesticate. They're so flighty that we either give them a heart attack with our cat and they die, or they break their own neck.
How do they break this?
If you've ever actually looked at deer and how they move, they're basically big fat bodies on little tiny stilt legs. They're really nimble, but they can hurt themselves really easily. They're also they're basically like rats. They're pest animals.
They're so cute.
That may be true, but so are rats.
Bambi is adorable.
You think rats?
And delicious.
Did you say rats are delicious?
No, I said Bambi is adorable, and he said it's delicious.
I said rat. Oh, look, you eat a rat?
I think rats are fun. Rats are nice. Anyways, easily distracted, hard, the thing is, a lot of this domestication process is what allowed Europeans to develop their immunities to certain diseases. You guys know smallpox, right? Talked about that last chapter. That actually comes from cows. It's a disease that affects cows that basically jump species to us because Europeans had interacted with cows for centuries. They developed immunities to it, whereas the natives had none. So the entire fabric of history, of world history, is determined by the geography of what animals grew up in what areas. It's just a crapshoot. If those animals had developed in South America, history would be completely different. Quite possibly they would have conquered us. Whole different world, isn't it? Now, what? Oh my God, it's 3 sentences. Holy cow. Let's beg pardon, it's 4. I know, right? Oh my God, a paragraph?
So sarcastic. Wait, on the last slide, what was the title?
Words and words and words.
Wait, what was it? Like, what? See, some people
You always twitch. You make any noise.
Okay, awesome. So anyways, one thing I did want to point out though, if I say islands, right? Imagine an island. What are you thinking about? Right, probably you have something along the lines of there's some sand in the water with one single palm tree sticking out. And like
The flowers and the coconuts.
That's in your head now. No, here's the thing is we can't forget that islands depend on the geography. For instance, let's talk desert island, right? You know why they call it a desert island? It's like a desert. No, that's a different word. A deserted island is one which nobody inhabits, right? And most of the time we think of like, oh, an island. If I was a shipwreck on an island, there's like, coconuts and stuff I could survive. Most islands have nothing for you to live on. And basically you go to an island like that, there's no fresh water, there's no plants or animals you can eat, and so basically you starve to death. That's why marooning was a terrible, terrible punishment used by pirates. You guys know in Pirates of the Caribbean, the first movie, where they marooned Johnny Depp and they handed him one pistol?
Yeah.
They did that.
What does that mean?
Why do they get those pistols?
They gave him a pistol with one shot
Oh, yeah, kill them.
to kill themselves if they were being nice.
Oh, I thought it was to kill food.
No.
Yeah, that's
Although there are stories of that actually happening. For instance, there was a guy who I can't remember his name. He was Scottish, who was on board a ship, and he was a navigator. It's called a sailing master. He argued with the captain like day and night about stuff. They had stopped to careen their vessel at an island that was well known. And careening, by the way, is where you flip the whole ship over on its side and you scrape the bottom full of seaweed, you repair dead plank or rotted planks, you basically make it ship shape, right? And he was like, all right, we're going to go. And the sailing master was like, there's no way it's ready to go. You've got to do this, 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 and this. And the captain's like, screw you, I know what I'm doing, get on the ship. And basically the sailing master says, I'm not getting on the ship. He said, fine, here's all your stuff, goodbye. And just left him there. Well, then that ship sank because he didn't do what the sailing master told him to, and everyone on the ship died. But the sailing master was on this island, and he stayed there for 7 years. Well, he had a weapon, he had ammunition, and it was actually, there was potable water, there was animals, and basically he just survived by himself till eventually he was picked up by another ship who was stopping for the same thing. He was like, oh, you're here. Interesting. Who are you exactly? And he told them, and weirdly enough, one of the guys on board was like, oh yeah, I know him. I went to school with him. He's a sailing master. We totally need one of those. Invite him on the ship. He came onto the second ship, lived on there for 2 years before he went home back to England, and he was a sensation, what he had done. He actually had a book written about him, which got some stuff changed around, and they named that book Robinson Crusoe. You ever heard of Robinson Crusoe? It's based off a real dude. Which, by the way, the Swiss Family Robinson was based off of that.
I love that show.
Yep.
It's a show, right?
It was, as well as a movie.
What show?
Yeah.
Swiss Family
Is that
Robinson.
the people who
Which was also made into a sci-fi series in the 1960s called Lost in Space.
Love that show just because I love tree houses.
Mm-hmm. So the point is that stuff could happen, but generally didn't. And as the case of the islands of Europe, consider this: England is an island.
Yeah.
Most people don't think about that, but that is
It actually
greatly
has
important. Yeah, which makes it an island. Yeah.
Along with like
Ireland as well.
Iceland and Ireland.
Yep. And then if you go to the south, you've got islands like Corsica and Elba around Italy. You've got the island of Malta,
Ireland.
right? All these places are islands. That's the thing to consider. Mm-hmm.
Is Ireland an island?
Yes, it is.
Weird.
Now, of course, you'll notice that on the map, it's divided into an orange portion and a green. That's both Ireland, but you know why the northern part is part of England and the southern part is part of what we consider Ireland.
Because it once was connected.
Well, no, it wasn't connected, not in the physical way. It was, however, connected in the political sense. It was part of one nation. But it divided up in the 20th century, and to this day, there is animosity between the north and the south of Ireland, because Northern Ireland is mostly Protestant folk, and the south is almost entirely Catholic. Words.
Where is it?
I forget what the book is, but it goes, there are words and words and words.
Where's the heart?
Birds. The bird is the word. Anyways, that's the goal. All right, so you guys know the Pyrenees? Pyrenees. Actually, yes. Great Pyrenees kept their name from the Pyrenees Mountains, which is between Spain and France. They're mountain dogs. They're huge. They also have extra thumbs. Extra toes.
I think
They carry dactyls. Also, the Alps. You guys know where the Alps are?
Mountains.
Where are they?
Europe.
And you are correct. Where? The north. Yes, well, part of it is the Swiss Alps are. It's basically on the border between Italy, Switzerland, etc. Guys, ever heard the story of Hannibal?
Yeah.
Not Hannibal Lecter. Yep.
I was thinking him.
General Hannibal.
He took no.
Oh, I remember
And then they
that.
all died. Yeah.
Well, one survived.
Well, me and these people wrote a song about it.
Taller. And then there's the Carpathians, which are in the eastern part of Europe. Probably so because of the infamy they're associated with an area in Transylvania called Wallachia, who was once ruled over by a dude named Vlad Dracula. Vladimir Dracula. Dracula.
Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula. Son of the dragon.
You mean like the man that means?
Yeah. Vlad's father, Dracul, was called just the Dragon because of his coat of arms and being part of a secret society. He was the son of the dragon, so Dracul, yeah. His name was Vlad. And he had kind of a messed up childhood. He was actually imprisoned as a child and tortured, most likely raped, and eventually returned to his father by the Turks. And then he began a crusade against them to defend Wallachia, his territory, against their incursion. He kept them at bay through incredible acts of cruelty. His favorite method of executing someone was impalement, which is where you take a sharpened wooden stake and ram it through someone's body until they slowly die. For that reason, he got the nickname Tepish, which means the impaler.
Just think of Frozen when he walks into the icicle. And he goes, oh, I think I know. Frozen has a lot of European references.
The wonderful it is. It's Denmark.
Oh, no, he
Allegedly.
was like in the thing, he was
Allegedly, it's Denmark.
Why is it that Greenland is icy and Iceland is green?
because of the Vikings, they tricked people because they didn't want them to go there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. They didn't want people to go to the Greenland, so they settled, so they called it Iceland, so people didn't come.
Wasn't the kid when he was the Vikings were real?
Did Matea say that?
Well, she's like, he's not real. Wait, where's Iceland? Oh, it's over there.
That was a good show.
Yeah, it's not terribly accurate, but that's okay.
What
It
show?
was cool.
It was actually done in the style of one of the ballads, so, they get a pass. But there were problems, like, especially like with what they wore and how they acted and things like that. That's okay.
Well, unless you're like a history buff, nobody really knows that, so.
Yeah, I wanted the fact it was on the history.
Wait, what show?
Vikings. No, yeah, I watched it. I'm not hating on it. I'm pointing out things because the whole objective isn't to tell a perfectly historical narrative. It's to get you interested, so you research and go, oh, And there's actually one dude. It's funny. I think he's called the Handsome Doctor or something like that. He's on YouTube, and like he's like one of the oddest people because he's a striking individual. I'll give him that. And he's got like this deep, like rich voice. And he describes like Viking things and speaks in Norse. He's got a cowboy hat on, and he's a professor at like some university. I'll try to find it. He actually ended up he's also a huge nerd. He went back and translated or wrote Star Wars as if it was a Viking ballad.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What was the name of this person again?
I don't remember. I thought it was like the after that answer to hour.
I got this.
You too?
Are we done?
I think you can know this one.
We have 10
I'm
minutes.
kidding.
Well, it's our quiz Friday, so we can
You said you had a quiz on Friday.
No.
You had a test this week, Pete.
What was it?
I'll see if I can find it. First, let me pause.